Global China is a high-end global multi-platform new media think tank, mainly composed of overseas Chinese scholars. We invited a number of scholars in Russia, the United States, China, Japan, and other places to comment on the current conflict between Russia and Ukraine, and made a series of videos on the topic. In this episode, we are joined by Zonglun from the Chinese-Russian Cultural Exchange Center in Moscow. Observations and reflections from Moscow. Observation 2. Views of 4 groups of people on special military operation. The following are my observations and analysis of the attitudes of 4 local Russian groups on the Russia-Ukraine war. Group 1. Russia's political parties. So far, not a single political party or group has spoken out against Putin's special military operation. The war against Ukraine has brought unprecedented unity among the political forces that used to be locked in fierce struggle. Even the largest opposition party, the Communist Party of Russia, has abandoned its past grudges with the United Russia Party. In a speech, Gennady Zyuganov, the General Secretary of the Communist Party of the Russian, strongly supported the special military operation against Ukraine. The Communist Party of Russia and the United Russia Party, which occupy more than 70% of the seats in the State Duma, have a very high degree of agreement on the significance of the Russian-Ukrainian war to the future of Russia. Valentina Matvienko, Chairman of the Federation Council, and Dmitry Medvedev, Deputy Chairman of the Security Council, are also in the same trench with Putin this time. Medvedev, whom Mr. Putin sacked as Prime Minister, is a staunch supporter of Putin. Matvienko even granted Putin the right to use troops abroad. It can be seen that opposition to U.S. unipolar hegemony has become the consensus of the ruling and opposition parties in Russia. Group 2. Pro-American and anti-Russian forces represented by Alexei Navalny. Navalny's supporters have been the main opponents of the special military operation and are sworn enemies of the Putin government. This time, he has received additional support from some Russian dissidents, oligarchs and their children, and wealthy Russians who have long lived abroad. These people live in the West with money they earn from Russia, and in doing so divide Russian society and make Russians slaves of the West not only geographically, but also spiritually. But those who sell themselves to the West will end up as consumables for their Western masters. With the indiscriminate sanctions imposed by the West on Russians this time, many Russian tyrants abroad who thought they had inviolable private property in the West were robbed and suffered great losses. I don't know how they feel now. Group 3. Famous journalists, international political commentators. Since the launch of Russia's special military operation in Ukraine, many Russian media people, especially famous TV anchors and political commentators, have sharply criticized the act. They believe that Putin's understanding of Russia-Ukraine relations is very one-sided, and the lucky victory in Crimea makes Putin underestimate the enemy. They think that the Russian military is unlikely to achieve its desired strategic objectives, and if there are inevitable civilian humanitarian casualties, it may drive China and India away from Russia. Russia would be abandoned by the international community and completely isolated. Even its economy would go back 30 years. It would not be surprising if the criticism appeared in the Western media, but it was aired open on Russian television, and it was also heard in the mainstream media in Russia. It may appear that the criticism was somehow endorsed by some of the top officials in Russia. Group 4. The young generation yearning for Western lifestyle after the collapse of the Soviet Union. This group is one of the main forces of anti-war and the generation most sensitive to sanctions. The closure of McDonald's has made many young Russians feel deplored and uneasy. The first venture to represent the American way of life in Russia made many Russians think they had entered the good times of capitalism. If Western sanctions break the modern way of life they had become accustomed to, some of them will take it out on the government. This group is the main target of the West's cyber war and public opinion war. For these young people, the ideological impact of the West cannot be underestimated. Because of the indiscriminate sanctions on Russians this time, many Russian students studying in the United States and European countries were expelled from schools for no reason, which may wake up some Russian youth, but it will also make other people resent the Russian government and think that it was caused by the government's mistakes. Log in to www.海外看世界.com, enter your email address at the bottom of the page, and click subscribe to receive all updates of the website on time.